Hi, I'm Kaylee, and today I'm talking about classics that I want to read. So I did a video talking about 100 classics that I've read, just talking about some of my favorites. Not a complete list, but some of my favorites that I have read. So now I'm going to talk about 100 classics that I have not read. I'm not even sure if I have 100. Maybe it won't be 100. I don't know. We're going to go down the list here and we're going to see what I've got. So I just have my Goodreads pulled up here in front of me, and we're going to go through the list and see what I have on my want to read list for classics on Goodreads. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up if you love classics. So right at the top of my list, I have A Romance of Two Worlds by Marie Corelli. I've read other books by Marie Corelli, and I've really loved her writing, so I'm excited to read this one. I have Margaret Landon's Anna and the King of Siam. So I think this is what the musical The King and I was based on. I have E.W. Hornung's Mr. Justice Raffles. I've read a few of the other books in the Raffles series and really loved them, so of course I want to read more from Raffles. Nathaniel Hawthorne's Twice Told Tales, and The Marble Fawn and Mosses from an Old Manse, and the Tanglewood Tales and the Blithedale Romance, all those from Nathaniel Hawthorne. I haven't read a ton of Nathaniel Hawthorne. I think after I read House of Seven Gables and I didn't like it that much, I just kind of was like, about Nathaniel Hawthorne, but I would like to read more of his stuff. The African Queen by C.S. Forester. I actually have not watched the movie or read the book, so maybe I should read the book first of this one. The Worm or Ouroboros, I don't know how to say that, but it's E.R. Edison. I think this is a fantasy tale, and I think the worm is like, that's an old word for a dragon, so I'm not really sure what this one's about. Dante's Inferno. I think I started reading this, or I read an excerpt from it years ago in college or something, but just never read the entire thing. Joseph Conrad's Lord Jim. I'm not sure that I really want to read that one. I'm not a huge fan of Joseph Conrad, but I feel like I should give him another chance. A Fair Barbarian and A Lady of Quality by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Sylvia's Lovers by Elizabeth Gaskell. Of course, I adore Elizabeth Gaskell, so I really want to read more of her works. The Woodlanders and the Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Hardy. Sometimes I really like his works, and sometimes I just can't stand it. So we'll see. I'll give Hardy another try. The Lady of the Lake by Sir Walter Scott. Is this one a novel or is this one a poem? I'm not sure. And then also Kenilworth by Sir Walter Scott. This one is quite a large book. It would be a commitment. So I'll have to carve out a chunk of time to dedicate to reading Kenilworth. Tolstoy's Anna Karenina. I have not read any Tolstoy, ever. So I feel like Anna Karenina might be a good place to start. I'm not sure. Leave me a comment. Tell me where to start with Tolstoy. Then I have a whole bunch of Anthony Trollope that I really want to get to. The Duke's Children, Lady Anna, The American Senator, The Prime Minister, and The Eustace Diamonds. So those are just a few of the Anthony Trollope books that I want to read. I have a ton of his books that I really just need to get around to reading. Another Sir Walter Scott that I want to read is Old Mortality. I have no idea what it's about, but I love that title. And another good title from Sir Walter Scott is The Talisman. A couple of Wilkie Collins that I still need to read are Hide and Seek and The Law and the Lady. I adore Wilkie Collins. I've loved so many of his books, so I really want to read more from his works. I've decided to give James Fenimore Cooper another try. I want to try something different, though, from The Last Mohicans that I read, so I want to try Sea Tales. Hopefully this will be a different enough subject that I might enjoy it more than I did his other book. I have a couple of Mark Twain that I still need to read. I still need to read Pudd'nhead Wilson and Those Extraordinary Twins, and a collection of his short stories just called The Mysterious Stranger. I also need to read The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. I, of course, know the basic story and everything, and I've seen the Disney movie, but never actually read it. I need to read The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. I've never read any Dostoevsky, so I'm wondering if that's a good place to start. Leave me a comment. What should I start with Dostoevsky? I need to read The History of Tom Jones by Henry Fielding. I think I've read another one by Henry Fielding, but I can't remember. Maybe not. I need to read The Good Soldier, A Tale of Passion. So that one certainly sounds passionate. And I have a couple more Thomas Hardy, Jude the Obscure, and The Return of the Native. I keep putting off the Thomas Hardy because I feel like he makes me depressed, okay? But I don't know, but his writing is so good that I still want to read it. I don't know. And another Nathaniel Hawthorne, this one's a collection of short stories, The Celestial Railroad. I have The Forsyth Saga by John Galsworthy. I've never read anything by this author, but I hear so many good things about this book, so really want to dive into that one. Flemington and Tales from Angus by Violet Jacob. I've never read anything by this author either, never heard anything about it, but it just seems like such a strange title. I want to figure out what that's about. And from one of my favorite authors, Stalky and Company by Rudyard Kipling. I also have a short story collection of some prose and poems of Kipling's that I want to read through as well. I just love all his imaginative stories. I have Portrait of a Lady by Henry James. I don't think I've ever read any Henry James before, but that's definitely an author that I need to try. The Light That Failed is another one from Rudyard Kipling. I think this one's a pretty short one. It's more of a novella. Lady of Quality by Georgette Heyer. I'm not really sure where this one came from. It's just one of those random used books that you pick up at the bookstore, and never heard of this author before, but we're gonna try it. Billy Budd by Herman Melville. I don't really have any desire to actually read Moby Dick, so I feel like Billy Budd is a shorter, maybe easier Herman Melville to get into. Mr. Pym by A.A. Milne. And yes, it's that A.A. Milne from Winnie the Pooh, but this is a story that he wrote for adults. The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. I've watched a couple of different movies, I think, of Phantom of the Opera and really, really love the music and everything. So I'll be interested to see how that matches up with the actual book. The Heart of Midlothian is another Sir Walter Scott that I really want to dive into because I just adore Sir Walter Scott. Dr. Wortle's School is another one from Anthony Trollope. Catriona from Robert Louis Stevenson. I'm hoping that this is kind of an adventure novel, similar to his other ones like Treasure Island or Kidnapped. The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton. I'm not sure that this is going to be a style that I'm going to like, but I'm willing to give it a try. The Virginian by Owen Wister. The Dealings of Captain Sharkey by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Parson Kelly by E.W. Mason, The Doom of the Griffiths by Elizabeth Gaskell, and Lizzie Lee by Elizabeth Gaskell. I think those are just short stories, actually. Another couple of her short stories are My Lady Ludlow and A Dark Night's Work. And Camille by Alexander Dumas Jr. I want to read The Half-Sisters by Geraldine Dewsbury. Sybil, or The Two Nations by Benjamin Disraeli. Curious If True, I think is a short story or a novella by Elizabeth Gaskell. Guy Garrick by Arthur B. Reeve. And The Poisoned Pen by Arthur B. Grieve. The Doings of Raffles Haw by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Mr. Harrison's Confessions by Elizabeth Gaskell. Marriage by Susan Ferrier. Olive by Dinah Maria Mulock Craik. That's quite a mouthful of a name. The Knight of Maison Rouge by Alexander Dumas. The Viscount of Bragnelon by Alexander Dumas. And Louise de la Valliere or Valliere something. The Diary of a Nobody by George Grossmith. Cousin Henry by Anthony Trollope. He Knew He Was Right and Elia's Angel by Anthony Trollope. The Female Quixote by Charlotte Lennox. That title has me really intrigued because I do like Don Quixote, so The Female Quixote, what is that about? A Struggle for Fame by Charlotte Rydell. The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells. I can't believe I haven't read this yet. Like, it's such a famous one, but I really need to sit down and read that one. All right, where I'm not sure if that is 100, but I've gotten to pretty much the end of my classics list on Goodreads. There are a few others that I have that I guess are technically classics, but they're more like modern classics, and so I haven't really included them on my classics list. Or some of them are more like children's classics, and so I haven't included them on this list. So if I kept going, I'm sure it would be way more than 100. I've completely lost count. I don't know if I talked about 100 books in this video. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Who knows? If you want to count them up, you are welcome to do that. So please leave me a comment down below and let me know what are some classics that you are really looking forward to reading, or that you kind of feel like, I don't know if I want to read that, but I almost feel like I should. Like maybe you should just give it a chance. You never know, you might end up loving it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and remember, the right book in the right hands at the right time can change the world.